What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, what shorts are doing, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is flat. It did have a high of 1223, low of 1190, and about 4.4 million shares being traded within the first 1 hour of the trading day. So today is going to be a very low volume day. A couple of things that's really hyping up, or at least initially did hype up the market. One was mortgage applications as well as mortgage market index. Both came in better than the previous. So applications came in at 0.2, and then the market index came in at 317.6, signaling a little bit more of an increase in demand. Aside from that, we did have initial jobless claims coming in at 216,000. Forecast of 224. This is the lowest it's ever been since April of 2025. So kind of a positive. So the market's seeing that as a good reason to really move higher. And normally with this positive data, it would actually diminish the likelihood of a cut, but this has actually remained stagnant. So right now there is a 83.1% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut for the upcoming December 10th meeting. So that's a pretty good thing. So we're having some relatively positive data with still the good chance of a 25 basis point cut. So market's hyped up because of that. As far as SoundHound, nothing coming out associated to the company today. No SEC filings. There was this that did come out yesterday on the 25th. So SoundHound AI and Parkopedia launch voice AI powered parking search and payment agent. And so this one's an interesting one. So I read through this, and I think it obviously meets the criteria of what SoundHound's trying to accomplish under the kind of auto aspect, but I feel like this is very, very niche. And I would really have liked to see a demo of this. So this is the official website. So Parkopedia brings up what they're doing, but it doesn't actually go over like any demonstration. So you can kind of see it right here, but I'd like to see this in action. So in my opinion, I don't really see this being a crazy catalyst, again, only because it is extremely niche and I don't know how advantageous it is. I know what SoundHound's trying to do is that they have ultimately a lot of different avenues. One is auto that they're focusing on, other one is restaurant, and a couple others, but technically auto and restaurant, they jive. They can kind of be synced together, and I think this is what SoundHound's bigger plan is, what they want to kind of take over the world for the most part. This one, it's icing on the cake, but I personally don't really grasp this. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Do you think I'm just being too overly critical, or do you think that this is like a good reason that you need to buy the SoundHound because of this? There hasn't been any new analyst ratings on a side note. At the time of doing this video, shorts aren't doing anything. So 28.24% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 106.97 million shares overall are being shorted. Looking at the options for today, 802,000 in calls, 255,000 in puts, and then 43% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. Bulls are anticipating for it to recover to kind of around that $12 to $13 range. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1150. So kind of have this a little bit more of a back and forth. You do see a lot of institutions buying. So this is why I always like to go over where volume is coming from. And so based on this, you do see two transactions that are sells, both of which were pretty much right after the bell. And I think that's what caused some initial volatility. But aside from that, you're seeing a lot of big money actually buying. These are some of the transactions that are occurring so far on the dark pool. And so very active stuff, and the fact that shorts aren't really doing anything so far, it is fair to assume that most of these transactions are linked to hedge funds. So this is something that's been very odd because I've done a lot of videos on SoundHound and just a lot of stocks in general. And over the last week, primarily kind of mid last week, you had the market selling off multiple different days, which was being artificially done, and that was through algorithmic trading. Now all of a sudden you have a nice recovery starting last Friday. So you have this recovery that's being prompted by algorithmic trading. So I think in general today you're seeing AI piggybacking off of the broader market's optimism associated to not only a rate cut, but positive data. So it's kind of interesting, but it does look like institutions are kind of catching on to that. So institutions and also hedge funds are buying, so that's always a positive thing. With it right now at 1196, it is currently trading between these 2 points, or actually below this S3. So 1203 is going to be that key point you really want to get over today if you're going to see any sort of recovery. And based on my last video, I think it came out, I think I did one on Monday if I remember correctly, but one thing I did signal is that it needs to really get above that 200-day moving average right quick. And so right now it is kind of flirting with that for the most part. So that 200-day moving average is sitting at 1211. So if it does fail to really break above that, which it attempted to yesterday on the 25th, then it is going to prompt more consolidation. On a positive note though, it is above the 10-day moving average, so signal it's a little bit more kind of positive momentum building, but I think it does need to really break above that in order for a nice technical recovery. Aside from all that, stochastic RSI, it is breaking off the oversold to somewhat neutral now. So again, it is what it is. A lot of stocks kind of doing that same type of action. There hasn't been anything as far as news. So despite them actually putting out formal news on the 25th, no real articles have been done on it at all and what it means. And so clearly my concerns over that is somewhat kind of copied as well here. If not, you'd see a rush of crazy analysts and also articles really talking about SoundHound. But as I mentioned, there really hasn't been anything. So the last rating did come out on November the 18th, D.A. Davidson. So I don't really have too much kind of respect for that firm. In fact, a lot of these I don't really, even H.C. Wainwright and Northland, not really fans of them. But nonetheless, there really hasn't been that much associated to that. As I've indicated though, I know SoundHound's a very frustrating stock. Sometimes it just doesn't do what it logically should. But if you do believe in it, look at doing options. And so even myself, I've been selling a lot of puts. So for those of you that don't know options, if you are selling a put, you get to keep the premium regardless. But if you actually were going to be buying it anyways, you can kind of get a little bit more of a discount. So you can buy it at the price you want. So kind of take the time to research options. But if you do believe that SoundHound is going to recover to roughly, let's say $14 by January, then you can make a solid 53.85% on a long call versus this actual common stock only going up 16.91. So take the time to research options. When the market is very bearish and stocks are getting suppressed, sometimes if you're going against that sentiment, you can make a lot of good money. So again, do your own due diligence and all the other fun jazz. These videos, I'm not here to get you to buy or sell, just to kind of bring awareness. So at the end of the day, just watch for some of those key pivots for SoundHound. So let me know your general thoughts on SoundHound. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, because of Black Friday, I did lower a lot of my tiers. So if you've been looking for some solid day trades, swing trades, pop over to my stacked account. So I have a $10 and also a $20. So if you're looking for just swing trades, which many of which been absolutely on point, you can kind of take advantage of that. So after Black Friday, they'll be going back up. So if you want to enter these, you can get that forever. Your prices will not increase ever. So definitely take advantage of that. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.